I don't know if you all saw the email that I sent about 10 minutes ago, but I have a full I have a full agenda. So if you have questions that you came with today that you didn't send beforehand, I hope I didn't get any last minute ones either. Okay. If you have questions that you have today that you didn't send in beforehand, be sure to raise your hand so I could see, if there's more than what I already have. Or put your question in the Q&A box on Zoom. And let me also do this here. I'm going to be on YouTube for a little bit, but okay, so, oh, that didn't go through. Hang on. Yeah. Live. Okay. Okay, so I did put it on YouTube as well, but I'm not going to be on YouTube for the whole thing. I am doing great, Jasmine. How are you? And Ide is in the house. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, let's go ahead and center and get right into Q&A because like I said, I have a full scoop, full agenda today. Everyone take a deep breath. And another. And then one more in which we let everything go and we become fully present. And I am just going to ask for our divine, non-physical co-creators present with us here today to help guide the trajectory of this Q&A event. I ask that you help me to speak clearly your words. I also ask that you help me to hear what wants to be shared most. I ask that you help me to set my own personal agenda aside and seek for the highest good of everyone present in everything that will be shared today. And with that, we say, so it is, so it is. Okay, so I am not going to be looking at YouTube comments. If anybody happens to pop in on YouTube, just be aware of that. And I am also not going to be looking at the chat as I'm not going to be looking at the chat as I go through. So for whenever I do a Q&A event like this where people send questions in ahead of time, more often than not, there is a trend in questions. And rather than go through every single question, at times it's more beneficial and also in the interest of time for me to just say, this is the theme that I saw, and I will pick certain aspects of questions, certain specific questions, or certain elements of certain questions, and go through it. What I did share, I should probably find that. What I did share in the email that I sent out that I just want to set the stage for here today. In the email that I sent out, I said my intention is for this event to be more experiential. We'll go directly to the moment in which some of the life events unfolded and then explore with deeper specificity and detail how to walk through the exact same life experience with a significant degree of awareness, clarity, confidence, certainty, and deep peace, such that all future experiences and outcomes are positively affected. And what I wanted to add to that is, if we enter life events with a high degree of awareness, clarity naturally comes. certainty naturally comes, confidence naturally comes, a deep sense of peace naturally comes. So all of those things are an outcome of us facing the life event or perceiving the life event with a really expanded focus and a great degree of awareness that we are pure consciousness, awareness that we are not this physical body, awareness that we are source manifested in human form, awareness that we are not separate from the source energy within us. If we start there, then confidence, clarity, certainty, all of that just it's birthed out of the awareness of the truth of who we are. So I wanted to just set the stage for that as well. And let's go to just the opening. I have a few things to share here. As I said, a lot of the questions, some, not a lot, some of the questions, well, enough of the questions were similar enough for me to go with themes first. And there are different types of questions that came through. If I were to perceive it from a presence of peace, lack of peace perspective, I would say the questions came through from these perspectives. I don't feel peaceful because of what's going on in the world. I don't feel peaceful because of what's going on in this relationship that I'm in. I don't feel peaceful because of what's going on in my business. I don't feel peaceful because of what's going on in my finances. I don't feel peaceful because of what's going on in my physical body. Those are all the themes that came through the questions that you guys sent me. I want to start out by saying that I'm an ever-evolving being, as are all of you. So wherever you were when you asked the question, I know that you're doing the best you can, given the life experiences that you've had so far. So I feel compassion, I feel understanding, I feel a great deal of awareness that we're all on this ever-evolving path, and that's just life, right? But I also wanted to say from that perspective that we are all ever-evolving beings, that the perspective that I'm sharing today, April 7th, 2024, is very much likely to be different than what I shared 6 months ago. And very likely will be different from what I will share 6 months from now, a year from now. Why? Because I am ever-evolving. My path is getting clearer and clearer. My perceptions of life in human form is getting clearer and clearer. I'm becoming more and more and more attuned and identified with the fact that I am not separate from the source within me. I'm becoming more and more attuned and identified with the truth that this physical form is largely illusion, not truth. We'll dig into that a little bit more deeply as we go along. So one of the things that happens at events like this, whenever we gather as an awakening community, is we hear things, we share things with each other, we align with truth, we get inspired, we get uplifted, we get clarity, we get a certain sense of confidence about moving forward with life through, what we've shared with each other. And then my camera turns off. You're off your mobile device or your computer or whatever you're watching this on. And you go out into real life. And when you go out into the real life, life starts unfolding again from where you left off before you sat in this event. And as life starts to unfold again, we almost automatically get pulled back into the story, right? We're sitting here, we're getting inspired, we're getting uplifted, we're getting clarity, we're getting all these things poured into us, right? When we go back into life, my camera's off, event is over, and we re-submerge into the story, right, of our lives. Quite natural, nothing wrong with that. That's just kind of the human experience. But what I want to really emphasize and underscore today and demonstrate today with your questions is when this camera turns off, when this event is complete, when we're all gone, from this gathering, when we're out of this gathering, you can still go back to the truths that you embraced and re-embrace them as the life event is unfolding. So if you look on my YouTube channel for all the events that we've had and all the videos that I've put out, all of those videos that are out there actually already answer all of your questions that are here. But we have a propensity to forget. That's just the natural course of being human. We have a propensity to forget what we know as truth, what we previously embraced as truth. We tend to forget the thing that inspired us, the thing that uplifted us, the truth that got seared in our energy field when we were in events like this, because we're so intoxicated with the human experience and we're so intoxicated with life as it's unfolding, we forget the truths. And that's why I said I want to be real specific about getting into the weeds with you today, getting into the story with you today, and using some of the language that you have used in your questions, some of the scenarios that you have sent in to me. We can apply the truth over and over and over for every single question, or the themes, over and over and over, so that you begin to not only align with the truth in generalities, but you begin to see more and more, oh, when this happens in my life, I can pull truth in this way. When this happens in my life, I could pull truth in this way. When this happens, oh, I could pull truth in this way as well, dispelling the illusion and coming back to the truth of who you are. So what I'm going to start with are 5 premises. Now we can have 20 premises, we could have 10, we can have any number. I'm going to use 5 because it's easier to work with. But I'm going to go through 5 premises through which we will dance with all of the questions. So no matter what the question is, right? Because what I want to demonstrate and be with you in today is, as life is unfolding, truth can be applied. As life is unfolding, truth can be applied. And with every single question, I think, we're gonna, not with every single question, but those questions that are more life event based, we will come back and go, okay, so you're sitting in the moment when this happened. How can we apply these truths to that moment in time, such that confidence arises, such that peace, you're submerged in peace because you remember the truth, right? And you can apply it to whatever's unfolding in that moment. So let's look at the 5 premises, and I'll share a little bit more about some of them as we go along. Hang on one second. We can go to, okay. I'm gonna share my screen here again. And feel free to take a screenshot, because you could take this into real life. You can take this into real life, right? Or as real as it gets anyway. So the 5 premises are: my focus is my superpower, and I can affect my inner and outer world using the power of my focus. Second premise, I can choose to live in a state of inner peace, no matter what is happening externally. Now, let me go back to number 1. Any of these can be used to reprogram the way you respond to life. Let me repeat that. Any of these can be used to reprogram how you respond to life. When I decided my focus is my superpower, let me come back to me here. When I decided my focus is my superpower, that's something that I repeated to myself on a daily basis. My focus is my superpower. I can affect my world. I can affect my experiences because my focus is my superpower. I can choose my focus. And then I would stop at different parts. This is something I did daily, okay? Still do at times. My focus is my superpower. I can affect my world. I can affect my circumstances. And sometimes I'll focus in and zoom in on the word affect. And when I say I can affect my circumstances, I'll like bring into my mind something that's happening in my current life experience. And I'll go, my focus is my superpower. I can affect my world. I can affect my circumstances simply by choosing my focus. My focus is my superpower. My focus is my superpower. I can affect my world. I can affect my circumstances simply by choosing and altering my focus. And I would be taking a walk with Milo and I'd be repeating that in my mind over and over and over. And I would be fixing lunch or dinner in the kitchen, and I'd be muttering under my breath, my focus is my superpower. I can affect my world. I can affect my circumstances simply by choosing my focus. My focus, my focus, my focus, my focus is my superpower. And now that's just a natural way for me to think because I reprogrammed my way of responding to life simply by choosing that one truth and applying it to my life over and over and over. And I decided I want this to be my go-to. I want this to be a truth that I walk in. I don't want it to be a truth that I know and it's on the shelf and I'll pull it down whenever I need it. I want it to be how I respond to life. I want it to be a knowing. I want it to be a certainty. I want it to be part of my energy field. I want that knowing to be how I think about life. Right? So let's go back to the premises. So that was one premise that I sort of reprogrammed my mind to. And again, you can feel free to take a screenshot of this if you're on a mobile device. Second premise, I choose to live in a state of inner peace no matter what is happening externally. I'm going to share a really cool, oftentimes when I'm listening to Oftentimes when I'm listening to a podcast or reading an audiobook or attending a Zoom event or watching a video on YouTube, something will grab me. Like it just pulls me. Like somebody will say something and it will be like, I got pulled in that moment to that truth. And I know whenever that happens, when I get an aha, when I get a, whoa, that hit me in a different way. Whenever I get pulled in, I always make sure I go back and re-listen to it and I write it down. And then it becomes one of my contemplations, as I shared in the video, how I forget the video, but there was a video on how I contemplate to experience transformation. That was a video, right? How I currently experience transformation. And I will make it a deep contemplation, much like I just talked about with my focus is my superpower. And just to give you something to chew on here, this is something that someone said that I wrote down that is now my truth. Oh, hang on. Here it is. Spoken by someone else, I decided this is my truth now. Your inner peace is not dependent on, derived from, or disturbed by the characters. I'm not sharing. Hang on. I just realized I'm not sharing. Skip that. So you might want to take a screenshot of this as well. Your inner peace is not dependent on, derived from, or disturbed by the character's experiences. What's the character? My role is Allison. Allison can have all kinds of experiences, but there's a deep inner peace that is not disturbed by what Allison is experiencing out in the human physical world. Your inner peace is not dependent on, derived from, or disturbed by your character's experiences. It is not disturbed by circumstances or emotions. Your inner peace is derived from its connectedness to source itself. It happens when you disidentify with the body and identify with the source that you are. How addicted are you to the character in the story? How willing are you to let go of intense identification with the character and the story? How willing are you to give up the character in the story, to give up suffering? Some of you mentioned suffering. We'll get back to that in a second. What if you become more identified with all that you already are? Pure consciousness. So I wanted to share that with regard to premise number 2 that we're going to operate from today. I can choose to live in a state of inner peace no matter what is happening externally. Premise number 3 that we're going to operate from today, my inner peace comes from within because there is a place in me where source energy abides. Inner peace, like peace, is always there within you. Whether you choose to overlook it by what you're choosing to focus on or not, it's always there. Premise number 4, I can choose where I'm seeing from. I uploaded a YouTube short titled From Where Am I Seeing? And we can see anything through the human story. We can see anything through the human story, or we can see through the lens of our pure consciousness. And when we choose to see through the lens of pure consciousness, it's a different story. It's experienced in a different way. And we'll walk through the different experiences we can have in a moment. So premise number 4, I can choose from where I am seeing, the story or source energy within. Premise number 5, I choose truth versus illusion by recognizing the perspective of source within me. The interesting thing about choosing truth versus illusion, something I became aware of just in terms of living life. I shared this before, but there's this beautiful line from A Course in Miracles that says, those who seek the light are merely covering their eyes. Those who seek the light are merely covering their eyes, meaning the light is always on within you. Like right now, I'm sitting in a room, there's 2 camera lights on me, there's my office light above me. But if I go like this, really tight to my eyes, it looks like I'm in a dark room. It does not look like light is on. It looks like I'm in darkness right now. But if I uncover my eyes, light is everywhere. Light's shining out from outside my window. These 2 lights are shining on me. There's light everywhere. Light is everywhere because I uncovered my eyes. When we cover our eyes, we can't see all that is possible. And uncovering our eyes is a choice. We're the only ones that can choose to see things differently. And we'll walk through some of those different ways to see things today in some of your questions. We're the only ones that can choose to see things differently. The light is always present within us and everyone else. But we cover our eyes, blinding ourselves from seeing the light in others and also from seeing the light within ourselves. Most of the questions that we ask are coming from within the darkness of our mind. Hear me on that. Most of the questions that we ask are coming from the darker parts of our mind. There's light in our mind too, but it's coming from it's like we cover our eyes first and then we ask the question. But if we practice uncovering our eyes and letting the light in, letting the perspective of source in first as our first response, right? Typically, when something happens in life, first response is, what do I do? What do I do? Some of the questions that came is, what do I do with this thing happening in my life? If we were to change that and have the first response be, let me uncover my eyes and see the light within me. Let me uncover my eyes and see the perspective of source within me first as my first response to this thing that's emerging. the way we see is very different when we do that. But a lot of times when we have questions, it's coming from behind. We're covering our eyes from the light. So we're seeing the darkness in whatever's unfolding. We're seeing the challenge in whatever's unfolding. We're seeing we're just groping around in the dark when we can very easily see the light as well. We'll come back to that. So what we'll attempt to do throughout today is look at life, like stand in the moment where the life event is unfolding, but uncover your eyes. Stand in the same situation, stand in the same circumstance, but perceive more light by uncovering our eyes, perceiving that we are light and that everyone else is as well. Okay, so that's it for my opening. What I'm gonna do now is go into the questions, and I'm gonna stop the YouTube stream. That's all I wanted the opening for those of you who may have been interested out on YouTube. But if you are on YouTube and you want to come into the other segment, you just go to AlisonPhillips.tv/live and you'll be in it.